I never thought someone would try to take me. Not in broad daylight, not in a crowded place, and definitely not in my own neighborhood. But that day, I learned how close evil can get without you realizing it's already watching you. Before I tell you what happened, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay until the end, because the last story will genuinely shock you and make you question everyone who ever smiled at you on the street. It happened 3 years ago, when I was 17. I lived in a small, quiet town where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. My mom worked long shifts at the hospital, and every afternoon I'd walk my little brother, Dylan, to the nearby playground. It was our little ritual. He'd run straight to the swings, and I'd sit on the bench, scrolling through my phone. That day was warm, sunny, and full of noise. Kids laughing, parents chatting, dogs barking. But there was something off. I noticed him almost immediately. A man, maybe in his late 30s, standing by the fence near the parking lot. He wasn't watching any of the kids. Not really. He was watching the people. Quiet. Still. Hands in his hoodie pockets. At first, I told myself he was just waiting for someone. But when I looked up again a few minutes later, he was still staring right at me. I tried to ignore it. I put in my earbuds, but I could still feel his eyes on me. That crawling, sick feeling in my stomach wouldn't go away. Every time I turned my head, he'd look somewhere else, pretending to be interested in his phone or the trees. But I knew. When Dylan ran to the slides, I got up and walked closer to the fence, pretending to throw something in the trash. The man shifted slightly, his reflection visible in the shiny metal of a parked car. He was holding something small, maybe a lighter or keys, and tapping them against his palm, over and over. Then, just as I turned to go back to the bench, he smiled at me, a slow, deliberate smile. I froze. My brain screamed, "Go," but my legs wouldn't move. Something about that smile, it wasn't friendly, it wasn't mocking, it was like he was deciding something. I quickly grabbed Dylan and told him we were leaving. He went, of course, but I didn't care. We started walking toward the path that led home, and when I looked back, the man was gone. Relief washed over me for a second until I noticed a dark blue sedan parked halfway down the road. The same man was now inside it, engine running, driver's side windowed down, watching. Wasser. I remember grabbing Dylan's hand tighter and whispering, "Just keep walking." My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd faint. Every step felt like we were walking through water. I could hear the slow roll of the car's tires behind us, matching our pace. We reached an intersection. My plan was to head straight across, then cut through a friend's backyard. Safer, more people around. But just as we stepped off the curb, the sedan sped up and pulled into the next side street, like it was trying to cut us off. I yanked Dylan back and ran the opposite way. I heard the car's tires screech. I didn't look back. We sprinted toward a row of houses, and I started pounding on the nearest door, screaming for help. An older woman opened it. Confused, scared, I blurted out what happened, pointing behind me. She looked past my shoulder, her eyes wide, and said, "Go inside. Now." She locked the door, pulled the curtains shut, and called 911. The police arrived maybe 10 minutes later, though it felt like hours. They said a car matching that description had been seen near several schools recently. The driver would park, watch the kids, sometimes even follow parents home. But they never caught him. For weeks, I had nightmares. Every sound outside the window made me jump. Every time a car slowed near our house, my pulse spiked. Then, one afternoon, about 2 weeks later, Dylan and I were walking back from school. Broad daylight again, when we heard the sound of an engine creeping up behind us. I turned around, already shaking. It was him, the same man. Same car. He was smiling again, one hand draped casually out the window like this was just another day. Before I could react, a delivery truck pulled up behind him and honked, loud and sharp. The man flinched, slammed the gas, and sped off. The truck driver saw the whole thing. He followed the sedan long enough to get the plate number. The police traced it to a rental company, but the renter had used a fake ID. That was the last time anyone ever saw that car in our area. For months, I couldn't go anywhere alone. Even now, When I hear tires crunching behind me, I feel that same icy crawl up my spine. I think about that man sometimes. About how close he got. About what might have happened if that truck hadn't pulled up at the perfect moment. And what haunts me most is that smile. It wasn't just satisfaction. It was recognition, like he'd seen me before. And maybe, still dois. I was 21 when it happened, and to this day, I can still hear the low hum of that car behind me whenever I walk home alone. It's the kind of sound that burrows into your nerves, steady, patient, and always just close enough to let you know you're being watched. I had just moved into a small apartment complex outside the city. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I worked late at a cafe, usually closing shift, and I always took the same route home. A quiet, tree-lined road that cut through a residential area. It was usually peaceful. Until that night. It was just after 11 p.m., early spring. The air was cool and smelled faintly of rain. I remember because I'd left my jacket at work and was walking faster than usual, rubbing my arms for warmth. I had my earbuds in, half listening to music, half thinking about how badly I wanted to collapse into bed. Then I noticed headlights behind me. Nothing unusual at first. Cars passed occasionally, even Tadley. But this one slowed down, way down. Its beams stretched long shadows across the pavement, swallowing my own. I moved to the side, thinking maybe the driver was looking for a house number. But when I turned the corner, the headlights followed. That was when the first spike of unease hit me. I pulled out one earbud and listened. The car crept along behind me, not stopping, not passing, just matching my pace. I tried to be rational. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe the driver lived nearby. Primera turne began, this time down a narrower street that dead-ended near a small park. I figured if they weren't following, they'd go straight. They didn't. The engine sound turned with me. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. The car's headlights flashed off the wet asphalt, illuminating the back of my legs. I picked up my pace. So did the car. There was no sidewalk on that street, just gravel shoulders and dark hedges. I remember the sound of my own footsteps crunching faster, the uneven rhythm of adrenaline taking over. My mind was racing. What do we do? Where do we go? The only building nearby was an old church, about 2 blocks away. I could see the faint glow of its stained glass windows through the trees. I decided to go for it. I pretended to check my phone, trying not to look panicked. Then, without warning, I bolted. I sprinted full speed down the middle of the road. The car roared behind me. The headlights flared brighter, the engine revving like it was chasing me. My lungs burned, every breath scraping my chest. I didn't look back until I reached the church steps. Just in time to see the car slam to a stop halfway down the block. It sat there, engine idling, lights on me. I ran to the heavy wooden doors and yanked on them. Locked. Of course, I started banging, screaming for help. Inside, the lights flickered on. Someone was there. The car reversed fast, tires squealing, and disappeared around the corner just as a priest opened the door. I practically fell inside, shaking, trying to explain between gasps. He called the police, sat me down, gave me water. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. When the officers arrived, they searched the area, but didn't find the car. They asked for a description. I told them what I remembered. A dark gray sedan, tinted windows, one headlight slightly dimmer than the other. I hadn't seen the driver's face, just the outline of someone tall, leaning slightly forward, watching me. The police said it could have been a coincidence, that maybe I misinterpreted someone's driving pattern. But when I checked my phone later that night, I saw something that froze my blood. I'd left my camera app open in my pocket when I ran. Somehow, it had recorded a blurry, shaky, 10-second video. In the footage, you can clearly see the car turning behind me. And for a split second, as the headlights flash across the trees, a silhouette leans out the driver's side window. A man's hand, hanging there, holding a piece of cloth. The officers took the video, said they'd look into it, but nothing came of it. Weeks went by and I tried to move on, though I changed my route, started carrying pepper spray, and made sure to walk home only when other coworkers could join me. Then one night, about a month later, I came home late again. I was unlocking my door when I noticed something on my doormat. A small, folded piece of paper. Inside, written in sloppy pen ink, were just 4 words. Did you make it? I dropped it immediately and ran inside, locking everything. I called the police again, but they couldn't do much. No fingerprints, no witnesses. For days, I barely slept. I'd wake up at every noise, peek through the blinds, expecting to see those headlights again. And one night, I did. Same dim headlight, same slow roll down my street. I crouched by the window, heart hammering, watching it creep past my building, then stop directly across from my apartment. I could see a shadow in the driver's seat, still as death. After what felt like hours, it backed up, turned the corner, and vanished. I moved out 2 weeks later. Sometimes, when I drive at night now, I'll catch a glimpse of a car behind me in the rearview mirror. Dark gray, headlights uneven, and my stomach knots, because every time I look back to double check, it's gone. But the fear never leaves. That note, those 4 words, they weren't just a threat, they were a message. He knew exactly where I lived, and he was asking if I survived. I was 19 when it happened. The night I almost disappeared without a trace. It's taken me years to talk about it, because part of me still believes that if I do, he might find me again. It started on a freezing November evening. I worked the closing shift at a local diner that sat right off a highway exit. One of those old places where the neon sign buzzes, and truckers stop for coffee at 2 a.m. My car had broken down the week before, so that night, after my shift ended, I was stuck waiting for my brother to pick me up. It was nearly midnight, the parking lot empty except for my manager's car, and one other vehicle, a beat-up white van, parked a little too far from the lights. I didn't think much of it at first. The driver was probably inside grabbing food to go. The air bit at my skin, and I could see my breath fogging as I stepped outside. I called my brother. No answer. His shift had run late. I sighed, sat on the curb, and scrolled through my phone. That's when I noticed movement near the van. A man was standing beside it, half in shadow. He looked like he was smoking, but something about the way he stood too still, too focused, made me uneasy. Then I realized he wasn't looking at the building. He was looking at me. He took a slow drag of his cigarette, exhaled, and started walking toward me. I got up immediately and went back inside, pretending to be busy wiping the counter. My manager had already gone to the office to count the cash drawer, and the diner was quiet except for the faint hum of the freezer. A few seconds later, the doorbell chimed. The man came in. He was tall, wearing a faded denim jacket, dark beanie, scruffy beard. His eyes were pale, almost colorless, and they didn't blink much. He walked straight to the counter and smiled. "Cold night," he said. His voice was low, too casual. "You waiting for someone?" I forced a polite smile. "My brother's on his way." He nodded slowly, still smiling. "Good. Lota weirdos out lately. Gotta be careful." My stomach twisted. He ordered a coffee, black, and sat at the far booth. But he didn't drink it. He just kept glancing at me. Every time I turned, his gaze was already waiting, like he wanted me to know he was watching. After 10 minutes, my phone buzzed. My brother texted. "Sorry, still stuck at work. Might be another hour." I felt sick. I couldn't stay there with that man staring at me. My manager's car was still in the back lot, but I couldn't find him, probably in the office with headphones on. When I turned back toward the booth, the man was gone. The coffee cup sat untouched. The door hadn't chimed. He'd just vanished. I hurried to the back to grab my coat, and that's when I saw movement outside the window. The van. It had been parked near the street earlier. Now it was pulled up right beside the diner's back door. The engine idled softly. Every instinct in me screamed, "Don't go out there." I hid in the break room, called my brother again. No answer. Then I dialed 911, whispering that someone was following me. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line and not move. And then came the sound. A soft, metallic click. The back door handle was turning. I froze. The dispatcher kept talking, but I couldn't answer. The handle twisted again, harder this time. And then, slow footsteps moved away. The silence that followed was worse. I waited what felt like hours, phone still pressed to my ear, until red and blue lights flashed across the window. The police arrived, swept the parking lot, but the van was gone. Tire tracks curved into the woods behind the diner, leading nowhere. They checked the security cameras. The feed caught him walking inside, sitting at the booth, but there was something wrong. The moment I looked away from the monitor and the footage, he would move slightly closer, slightly turned, until, right before he vanished, he was standing directly behind the counter. But I swear, I never saw him there. The police said maybe the footage glitched. Maybe I imagined it. They took my statement and left. I called my brother again. Finally, he answered. Breathless, panicked. He said he'd been trying to call me for an hour. He'd gotten a weird voicemail from my number. Just heavy breathing and a man's voice whispering, "She's not here anymore." I checked my outgoing calls later. There was nothing. No record of that message ever being made. A week passed. I quit the diner. I didn't feel safe there anymore. Then, one morning, I woke up to a sound outside my apartment. A van's engine. I crept to the window, white, beat up, just like before. Parked across the street, facing my building, my breath caught. The van's headlights flickered once, twice, then shut off. When the police came that time, they said the spot was empty. No van, no tracks. But I know what I saw, even now. Sometimes late at night I'll wake up to that faint hum. The same low vibration that haunted me that night by the diner. And sometimes, if I listen long enough, I swear I can hear the whisper that came through that voicemail again. She's not here anymore. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're one of the few who've heard all 3 true stories from people who survived kidnapping attempts and lived to tell about it. Remember, danger doesn't always hide in dark alleys. Sometimes it waits in plain sight, behind a friendly smile or a pair of headlights that just won't fade away. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about which story terrified you the most. Your feedback keeps these real-life horror stories alive, and who knows, maybe next time, it'll be your story I tell.